Last night was the first semi-final of Eurovision 2025. In fact, if you can listen to my voice right now, you can probably tell, for me when I'm recording this, it's just happened. We have seen one of the biggest shock non-qualifications in the recent history of the contest. In addition to that, if the betting odds are to be believed, we have seen the most statistically unlikely qualification in the modern era. As if that wasn't enough, we've also seen a new contender to finish in the top 5, if not win the contest outright, emerge in the last few hours. We are going to look at all of the headlines from the show, including the biggest positive and negative surprises, before rounding out the video by looking at that new challenger for the win. We may well be staying in Switzerland next year, but we'll get to that in a minute. Quickly, as always, make sure to like the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy it. You can support me financially with the links in the description, as well as find my details on social media. I am running live streams all week, Eurovision week, so make sure to tune in if you're watching this and the final hasn't passed yet. Now, there's only one place to start here, and that is with Belgium. I was so sure that this was going to qualify that I wrote an entire section before the semi-final had even happened, so all I can say is I'm sorry for jinxing it. That said, it does mean I can read it out to you to show you just how clueless I really am. Coming into the contest, there was perhaps unfairly a few concerns that Red Sebastian might be the latest victim to the Belgian curse. This comes from Musty in 2024 and Senek in 18, not qualifying after featuring high up in the odds and in the pre-show hype. Any concerns that were there are now comprehensively answered. This is sailing through to the final for a few key reasons. The staging for this works perfectly on the Eurovision stage, and the Belgians have chosen a really cool effect in the form of Red Sebastian lookalikes joining him on stage. The way this is staged builds tension through the quieter sections and then releases it all at once when the drops hit, and the drops are hitting as good in the live performance. Secondly, as someone who previously raised concerns about how the falsettos might come across, it was very clear tonight that they were absolutely working. This doesn't feel shrill or over the top, it's blending perfectly, and hopefully is going to go up the jury scores in the final. Last night, after the jury show, this leapt in the odds from a probable to near certain qualifier and even entered the top 5 to win the contest. Red Sebastian will be there to give it his all on Saturday night, and this is a well-deserved qualification. Hopefully by reading that all out to you, it illustrates just how highly I thought of this performance, and how shocking its non-qualification is. Social media was in meltdown when this news came out. I literally have no explanation whatsoever for this yet. Sometimes a song does just not click with the public, and I assume that is what happened. If you're looking for answers on this, I'm sorry, I don't have any, and nor does anyone else. On the total opposite end of the spectrum, I had absolutely no clue at all that we would be seeing Portugal in the grand final. This is, according to the betting odds, the statistically most unlikely qualifier that there has ever been, as long as there has been odds on semi-final qualification. Maybe there's hope for Georgia and Montenegro after all. I've made no secret on this channel of how I didn't feel that this song would work on the Eurovision stage. Nothing I had seen in rehearsals had managed to convince me otherwise. Again, just like with Belgium, this was basically accepted wisdom no matter where you looked. And yet, they have proved us wrong in shocking style. The lesson here, at least in part, is that you are a fool to ever write off Portugal in the modern era of the contest. Ever since the pandemic, they have always found a way to make it work, and this is now the 5th year in a row that they have managed to qualify. With a lot of those qualifications, they started from places of weakness and places from people underestimating them. In every case, they have proved us wrong. What I would say though is what has brought this through more than anything else is just how warm and beautiful this song is. It's so gentle, it's easy to appreciate, and clearly the audience connected with it. As Eurovision fans, I think what we can take away from this is maybe sometimes it is just the song. There's been so much focus this year on staging, and we will talk more about Cyprus in this respect in a moment. But at the end of the day, if the audience doesn't like your song, they're not going to vote for it. If they do like a song, they will. If you ask yourself which of these semi-finalists would be most likely to get traction outside of the competition, I have no doubt that Portugal would be among the top 10 that you choose. Maybe that gives us a clue of how it's ended up in the top 10 here. Next, I'm talking about Iceland. I have deliberately not written a script for this section. That's because all I really want to say about this is so richly deserved, and also how proud of Vibe I am. It's been such a special thing to have been a small part of their journey so far, even if that just meant doing a charity stream and playing Minecraft together. But if there's one thing this shows, it's that hard work pays off. The odds wrote Vibe off for much of the season, both in the overall winner stakes and in the semi-final qualification. They have grafted and grafted and grafted. They have been pumping out content on all platforms, and now it has finally paid off. I am so proud that now they get to have their moment on Saturday night. To be honest, looking at it in the show tonight, it didn't even feel that much of a surprise because they put on a great show. Hopefully they watch this, and they usually watch my videos, so I think they will. If you are, boys, I am so proud of both of you.
It's gonna be ice then.
Yes! 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 Oh my God! Yes! Come on! Yes! Yes! Come on!
There's a few more headlines from this show, but briefly, I just want to put a note in on the production and the hosting. This isn't directly related to the results or the performances as such, but it does deserve a mention. The reality is, in Eurovision, if the production quality of the show isn't up to scratch, basically everything is 20% worse. I'm looking at you, Turin. In addition to that, good interval acts really bring the show together and make it a lot more entertaining. Last year was really strong on the production front in Sweden, and it seems like the Swiss have built on that success. We saw a series of really nice touches that we hadn't seen in previous years tonight. Those included the giant frame that formed part of the stage and was really nicely used by a few different acts, and artists being suspended in midair for the first time in recent Eurovision history. One other note, let's try and avoid the kind of camera problems that we had during Switzerland's performance, where a camera seemed to fail for a few seconds. That's taken your score for tonight from an A to a B+. Overall though, you did a good job and you should be proud. Hopefully that will be fixed in time for Saturday night. It's much better that it happens now than then. As for the interval acts, it was really touching to see a message from Celine Dion to all of the artists and to all of the Eurovision fans. She's unable to attend this year, but it's great that they still found a way to make her part of the show. After that, we had an ensemble performance of her Eurovision song, Ne partez pas sans moi, by Nemo's friends from the contest last year. That was Marina Satti, Sylvester Belt, Jerry Kale, and Yolanda. On the flip side, the silly songs about Swiss stereotypes, as well as the Petra Mieda cameo, were absolutely priceless. There was maybe one line in that Stereotypes song that was in slightly bad taste, but we won't go into it. We were also lucky to have hosts who were quite funny and told jokes that for the most part were quite good. Now, we have a few more things to talk about here, and the first one is Cyprus.
I've got golden locks and eyes so captivating. I'm famous for my beauty. Who am I?
Just before, I talked about staging versus song, and this is maybe a victim of that effect. We also need to add in an extra factor, and that is vocal performance. I was deliberately not talking too much about vocals during rehearsals in order to give artists the chance to show their best tonight. In one case that I'll talk about in a minute, I was proven right to do that, but in this case, we were kind of onto something. This was one of the most technically impressive stagings of the semi-final, and it once again demonstrated the genius that is the stage direction of Sergio Jaén. The way the scaffolding was moved around the stage created this really cool and dramatic effect, and if the entire performance had reflected that, then this would have sailed through easily. Unfortunately, the weakness was in the performer. Theo Evans' vocals were not up to scratch tonight, and ultimately, there is no way around that. We have seen better songs fail because they had a weak vocal. You can't come to Eurovision now and be anything less than exceptional, because in most cases, the crowd will sniff it out. That is the brutal truth of the matter. I feel like I do need to do an ESC Gotham and insert that clip now.
And that is the truth of the matter.
With that out of the way, let's move on. One of the stories of the week so far had been the vocal issues that Claude from the Netherlands had been having in rehearsals. These have been at least partially put to rest tonight. While there is still going to be some lingering worries, as the performance on the night wasn't totally perfect, it was strong anyway, and the worst of our concerns can be put to one side. To be honest, this was always a little overblown, and a lot of it is down to the nature of the Dutch media. For whatever reason, they can be a bit like vultures to their own acts, and we saw this to really tragic effect in the case of Mia and Dion in 2023. They weren't great, but the Dutch media made it so much worse for them mentally, and as a result, probably made their performance at Eurovision worse too. This, to be honest, more than anything, is a lesson in not reading in too much to vocal cracks and small errors in rehearsals. We see this every year where, based on limited information and unreliable evidence, people jump to all kinds of ridiculous conclusions about how something is going to do on stage and write them off before a single note has actually been sung in a forum where it matters. It's worth remembering this. Mistakes are what rehearsals are for. Artists are naturally going to have excitement and nerves during the rehearsals that they're going to need to work out before they get to the show. Quite frankly, if I was on that Eurovision stage for the first time, I'd be so out of breath and so excited I wouldn't be able to sing at all. Luckily, my voice isn't that great anyway. Overall though, for me, the message here is pretty straightforward. Well done to Claude for shutting up the critics. He has sailed through to the final and his song is in contention for a top 10 place, as it deserves. Quickly before the headline of this semi-final, there were a number of things that aren't really notable for the scope of this video. Sweden was great, obviously, and that isn't a story because we knew that was going to happen. Ukraine qualified, as they were always obviously going to do. Don't make me show you the map again. And also, so did Tommy Cash. These things were so clear ahead of the show that they're not worth a section here. At the same time, it's worth mentioning them. Also, I want to say nice job to San Marino, because while it wasn't a shock qualifier as such, and it had always been doing pretty well in the betting odds, I had cast doubt on it this week, and when you get something wrong, I think you should hold up your hands and say, I was wrong. So in this case, Gabri Ponte, thank you for demonstrating that a DJ can work at Eurovision. Now, finally, it's time to talk about the host entry, Switzerland. That was Zoe May with the song Voyage. This managed to be the story of the night in this semi-final for me, despite the fact that it wasn't even participating, just performing. I think we might have seen one of the most inventive and, most importantly, utterly beautiful stagings of the year here. The whole performance is shot with one camera and gives me vibes of an old-style French film. As is increasingly becoming a hallmark of the contest, every single moment of the camera in this performance is thought out to the millimeter, right down to the focus temporarily going from her face to her hands, with both staying in shots and little touches like the spotlights behind her briefly becoming visible before snapping away again. Unfortunately, as I mentioned before, there were some small problems with the camera towards the end of the song. Hopefully that won't happen in the final, but for now you're just going to have to take my word for it that this was really good. Additionally, from a purely competitive and tactical point of view, the fact that Zoe is entirely still on stage for most of the performance gives her the key advantage of not needing to balance movement or dancing with her singing. Rather than spending energy, both mental and physical, on hitting every mark, she can simply focus on the vocals and make sure she keeps looking into that camera. For some people, not having that movement might impact heavily. There are some people who just love bangers in Eurovision, and I'm one of those people, but I can also appreciate a song like this. For 3 times as many people as that, it will help make this one of the most special moments on Saturday night. Maybe it is time for another Salvador Sobral. Sometimes there really is beauty and simplicity in Eurovision. We've never seen that more than in 2017 with Salvador Sobral, as I just mentioned. He scored a record 758 points that night. After what we saw in this show from Zoe May tonight, I'm starting to wonder whether, while with nowhere near as many points as that, she could win the contest too. There is this kind of ethereal beauty to this that makes it click after one single live performance. To be honest, I kind of find myself asking why I didn't see this sooner. There are a lot of hurdles still standing between this and victory on Saturday night. The biggest of all are Switzerland's 2 next-door neighbours, Austria and France. They are both pitching to voters in a similar way. We now have 3 potentially very heavily jury-leaning ballads all competing for a lot of the same points. While any one of them could score a conclusive victory over the other 2, there's always a chance that they could all cancel each other out and suddenly make it very, very easy for Sweden to win the contest. We'll have a better idea on Thursday night in which direction it's going to go. Ultimately, this is the beauty of Eurovision week, everything that happened in this semi-final tonight. One of the elements that is the greatest excitement of all is the way in which, when you least expect it, a song can suddenly emerge as a frontrunner, or qualify unexpectedly, or not qualify unexpectedly. And that's what's happened with Switzerland, with Cyprus, Portugal, Belgium this year. I suspect the financial department of the Swiss national broadcaster are currently in panic stations as well, and they will not be able to stand down from those until they have certainty after Saturday night. In the meantime, we have another semi-final and plenty of live streams still to come. I would be delighted if I saw you there. Like I said at the start, make sure you've liked this video, make sure you've subscribed to the channel if you've enjoyed it, as well as followed me on social media. All the links are in the description. Eurovision week has only just gotten started, and I cannot wait to see you here again for the rest of the week to keep talking about it. For now, take care, and I'll see you tomorrow.